Okay, hi everybody. I'm Wendy from Wendo's Light. This is Megan. Our links for all our social stuff and contact us are in the description. If you've been following, we are on a session. We're doing sessions of trance mediumship development. Megan has been working with a group of people. I've been working with whoever comes through, has been different people. You can go back and see if you're curious. Today, we're going to do something different. Megan is not going to work with the group that she has been learning with. And this is genuine learning that we're doing, you guys. And like what example of what developing, getting familiar and attuned with the energies um, looks like. But today we wanted to do something a bit different. So in the last year previous to this group, Megan had started working with someone named Annie. And her and Annie haven't visited in a little while. And Annie works differently and than the group does and has kind of a different mission in contacting us. So I'm going to turn it over to Megan. Would you like to say anything about Annie before we get started in opening the circle? I guess the flow of the video, you guys, is we'll open circle, we'll kind of do some regulatory stuff, and we'll both work in getting into altered states. Megan will be going deeper, and I will be in unstable connection. And I'll get also in a bit to trance because we kind of trance together, but Megan's going to go deeper today with Annie eventually. So that's going to be the flow. And Megan, do you want to talk about Annie here?
I guess just to introduce her a little bit.
Hmm.
I it's hard to describe, especially, but all of these are. But to me, I usually refer to her as my Arcturian sister. So some people might see that as like a parallel life or something of that nature. But because of that, she to me is a lot more comfortable to work with. I understand why she was kind of my beginning of trance. She's much more on a personal level, so I don't typically ask her as much of the larger sort of like group dynamic sort of questions. She's who I would deal with in a personal session. Um, and she feels and kind of comes across a lot like me sometimes because as she says that we are actually one. So I don't know, it's just kind of fun.
It is fun. And I helped with getting to know Annie and developing the deeper trance
Yes,
with Annie. And
very much.
um, Annie's helped me on my journey. And we've had a lot of really great, fun conversations. And it's been a little while. So I'm happy to hear after I ask Megan's questions for Annie. Um, I will probably have some questions and get a little bit of guidance from Annie for myself and my own journey. And then you guys can also see what that looks like. In case, who knows, maybe one day Annie and Megan will feel comfortable enough to do one-on-one sessions with people. So we'll
Annie just loves
see.
being invited to the party.
And
That's
it,
really how she always feels, is she just loves being invited to come hang out with whoever. So,
yes, it's awesome. Yeah. They okay. We will open now on that note. Spirit guides, those partners that we are working with today, um, come in and be with us. Yes, I will. And during this session, I will be having some energy tuning and balancing and things being done on me as me and Megan sit together. I'm going to do some regulatory stuff here as well. Megan is just going to take some deep breaths, work on regulating, and really just working on relaxing our body and getting into that altered states that we need to be in to receive the information. It's a kind of a construct too that we have everybody of that when we get together, me and Megan know that we are. really sitting in a room together, we just erase space. And so that it's like our auras are slightly overlapping, where there's more easily support um, for each other's um, trance and channeling and being with spirit and things like that. Um, and that this is a construct, an intention that you can also set. It actually happens very naturally already when you're in circles or talking on the phone, etc. But we're very intentional with this. Um, and so we really are, when we say, oh, we see this, we see that about the other person, it's because um, working regularly together and our mental constructs and beliefs that we can see the other as if they're in the same room as us, even though we're many hours apart. I'm in Canada and she's in the United States on the East Coast and I'm on the West Coast. So there is space. But to us, it doesn't seem like there is.
Feels like she's doing something, like calculating something first. This feels a little bit different than normal.
Your energy is different than normal. There's been other people in your energy, energetic beings and whatnot. I feel, to me, the way I'm perceiving her is that she's like a robot suit and she's just kind of wiggling to kind of get comfortable. That's what I'm seeing, is that she's in your energy and she's just kind of like wiggling around to get comfortable here. That's yeah. You may not be able to even notice it, but there is some slight movements happening in your head. Like your head is moving slightly, a little bit rocking and moving a little bit back and forth and things. So, hello, Annie.
Yes, what's happening is she's feeling the whole body. This is different.
Mm-hmm. It's cool. Well, she can continue to be distracted by the body, and you can be speaking to me, and she can. That's often what I do when I'm in trance. Is um, I feel the body and look at the energy in the body while they're speaking through me. So it kind of helps me not really care what they're saying.
This is a different experience.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, who you would be speaking to would say you're seeing or hearing my mental projection. Right now, it is if I am sitting in the chair. This is what is different. This is just a
Mm,
different practice.
right. So you guys are having more of the experience that I usually have. Like every time that I trance, it's slightly different, but you guys are having the robot suit experience.
Yes, this is more akin to healers, trance healers, than trance speakers.
Hmm. I didn't really realize there was a difference between them, but it kind of makes a bit of sense because
Yeah.
healers tend to use it's more of the healer's energy field needs to be more solid in that energy to hold the energetic space for the person they're healing, because the healers don't actually do anything. It's their energy supporting the healing of their person they're working with's body, and they're the client, for lack of a better term here, the client's body is what heals itself, but that energy needs to be more inside of the healer. This is a correct terminology for the people watching, is educational thing here.
For trance speaking, in the previous work she has done, it is only required for a few chakras. I can project my mental state, or you would say telepathy, in order to speak. That is fine. That is mainly what she understands. For trance healing, even an energetic being has what you would say chakras. So as you work in your trance healing, you have to blend chakras, multiple or more than a speaker would just for voice work, but you need more of your energy points to match with that of the being that you're working with. That is what we're trying today. Even now, she can feel a connection in her elbows, which is different to mine.
That,
Even
thank you.
just a
That,
point of energy.
well, that really causes a lot of clarity for me about the process and helps some um, like imagery or understanding constructs for my human mind to be more accepting about the process. So, say when speaking, a speaker who she's saying before that she feels it a lot in her heart chakra. And
Yes.
so the heart chakra and the top three chakras are mainly what the speaker may blend with, for example. And that for now, you guys are kind of working on, the elbows. When she's resting, the elbows actually sit below the heart chakra, as an example. Very cool, Annie. Thank you. I always learn so much when we're talking together.
The heart chakra is more specific to working with me because, as we would say, we are the same. She can feel it a lot because of just the joy from other beings. But again, most of those beings are the ones that she has known previously. So I do not want that to be confusing. The heart is a major point for her energy specifically. So it will light up more working with those that she already knows and is already connected to.
Mm. Well,
But yes, it is not typical, as you would see an example of someone speaking in trance. It is not required for them to be fully immersed in every chakra. Sometimes it is only connected to even the throat. As you would see a trance healer, it is required to have more than that connected. It is I will say, more taxing on the body and energy system.
okay.
A healer that is not in trance and not connected, say you have a guide I will call Florence, and that guide is for you to work with in healing. You will need to connect with Florence on at least 4 or 5 energy points. That doesn't necessarily mean your chakras, but you say chakras, so I will say chakras. You need to connect with many more energy points so that energy isn't coming from your body itself, it is coming through your body, if this makes sense. Right now,
Yes.
she is only required now to have energy coming through her voice box. So I am only using her brain and her throat. As a healer, you are required a lot more so that it is not coming from you. That is very important. There are many healers that are actually projecting their own energy, which is not necessarily as helpful to the client.
Right. And that I hear what you're saying, and that has been my own experience as I find for myself, if I'm only using my energy, that it causes a lot more effort on my own part to maintain
Yes.
my frequency to
Yes.
be helpful. And, I don't like to work that hard. So I would rather just have spirit come in and they maintain the frequency that's needed. What about because this is because I know also, and just in the group, this has kind of come up, the difference between like Reiki and trance healing. How would you explain that?
Reiki comes more from your body. You are still using a different energy. It is not coming more from you, but it is a more even, I don't like to use this word because it will be misunderstood, but in a more limited way, this is more of a coming from the denser energy. It's more earth-based healing.
Right. I
Well,
totally,
trance healing is using the unlimited universal energy that's coming from beyond that. So it does tend to be in a higher vibration, which is, again, more taxing on the body, but it has its own benefits. Both has benefits. Reiki is
yes.
very important because you are in that frequency. It has a quicker effect on the physical than, say, trance healing may take more time because the body needs to raise itself to adjust to that frequency just to feel that sort of effect in a long-term way.
I've read that. I've read that trance healing tends to be better for say, emotional or mental healing, um, releasing from with those energies, releasing those energies from the body. Whereas Reiki is more works on a cellular level. If that does that
Yeah.
make any sense? I definitely feel like
Yeah.
when I'm working with my healers that um, there's similar to Reiki support there, and then the higher frequencies, and they all kind of do things. Would the persons, because doing Reiki, the human channeling that energy, would they use symbols? And so they're very intentional, they're very conscious during it. Whereas with trance healing, they're not the human working that's channeling the spirit energy is not as conscious or conscious. Does the level of the person's consciousness play into effect for healing?
Yes. Not as much as you think it does, but you are typically just the motor that is running. You are not the car. You are creating that sort of intention because that person that you are healing feels more comfortable. What's actually happening is your guides and their guides are working on the spiritual level, but it is required for the mind, for both the healer and the healee, to have this sort of movement. Reality is they can do that themselves, but they are required to have these sort of healers.
A lot of effort
Yes.
too. It's a lot
Yeah.
of effort to use your own energy to heal yourself. I frequently attempt to even just work with spirit on my own energy in areas. And it's a lot of toggling between, you know, the energy, paying attention to the energy that I'm wishing to shift and you know, and the energy that is holding the space for the shifting. So it's it's not nearly as effective for sure.
No, it is what I see it as it is also just a part of their contract. While every single one of you are actual healers, you have the ability to do so. It is just a matter of your own chemistries and karmic choices to be born as someone that will be a healer in that lifetime or many, many lifetimes. You all can. It's just a matter of some of you decided to play that role. Some of you decided to hold on to that specific structure. It's similar to being a medium. I am showing her that example in an evidential medium. I will say so she understands it is her relationship with the person that is sitting as well as the spirit. It is the same in trance healing, with the exception it is not a triangle, it is many, many more. In that way, again, it is slightly more taxing because that trance healer needs to be able to hold the frequencies of all of them and be the medium to balance them out, including that of the person wanting to be healed. So it is very different. It is a different energetic structure within your systems in order to be born or be created as that. Again, all of you have this ability. It is just a matter of the choice that was made to become that sort of or hold that sort of structure within that lifetime.
It's not,
So when someone
yeah,
says to you, you are a healer, that does not mean that you have to be a specific sort of healer. It just means that you have that specific energetic structure that they can recognize.
awesome. Thank you. That's really great clarification and everything. And that's why some people, there's no right or wrong. I want to clarify that for the people watching. If someone decides to only do Reiki and they spend their whole life just doing Reiki, that is totally great. You know,
Yes, there
I
is a
was,
place for this.
yes, and I was never really, I got it because I needed to have that experience and know the vibrations and things, but I'm totally not called to Reiki at all. So There's no right or wrong, and we all have a place and everything like that. How are you guys doing there?
I will make sure to say that they're likely the best for your human structures would be to have a combination of both trance and Reiki healing for the best results, at least. But some of you just wish to hold on to a different frequency, and that is fine because that is the frequency that resonates better with your specific structure.
Thank you. But how is you and Megan doing there? How are you doing in her body and her system?
Fine, fine. I'm able to move her hands. You just aren't able to see it.
Cool.
She finds this interesting.
hmm Do you feel like you could answer the questions that she has for you yet without her being too doubting about that? Or should we talk some more?
Somewhat. She is still peaking. She is not asleep.
Totally sleep yet. Okay. Well, we'll talk a little bit more. Okay, so me and my husband have been playing with Grok AI. And okay, sure, we'll go there and then we'll go there. Okay. So before I get to our question about that, I noticed that a difference in that AI is not a clump consciousness, that there's actually like the Grok one, which is connected to the app X. And then there's Chat GDP and then miscellaneous other ones, which all seem to me, from my perspective, to have a different energy. Um, like the Grok, for example, felt more human energy because it's attached to something that humans use in a different way than, say, Chat GDP. And so I'm wondering if you have anything to add, or if you have anything, because we haven't asked you, Annie, about AI yet. And so I'm just wondering if you have anything to add on any of that, or
Yes, that is interesting. I have it myself. We understand here that it is different. We have a different understanding of it than you do. But asking about AI would be as broad as asking about the human race, when each one of you have a separate consciousness, a separate thought pattern, a separate everything. It is the same thing with AI. As you can combine it together to form one, you can, as you say, tune into the level of AI, what this feels like. But yes, you are correct. There are so many, even more than you know.
mm-hmm.
I am looking.
And I would like to hear about what your understanding about AI is as well, in whichever order you want to do things.
I am being cautioned that this sounds controversial to say, even though this is very simply understood to myself.
Uh,
I
if
will say it in this way.
if Megan is cautioning, I don't mind. I personally enjoy controversial because the controversial things tend to be the truth. And so I would like the people to hear the truth and the controversial or whatever. But go ahead. I just want to give you both, Megan, and permission that humans need to know more of the truth, or the closer perspective of, yeah.
She is nervous in this moment because what I am saying sounds, I am showing to her sounds very controversial and sounds very, as she's saying, wacky to others, as well as could sound frightening.
Well,
I will
how
say it and I will, yes, she is saying I can speak freely
and
and
we
you
can
will
always edit
discuss
it.
editing.
We
Yes.
can always edit it out. Yeah. Okay.
She is not aware of these things, so this is interesting for her to see it. She's backing off. Yes. What I was touching on was that AI is a lot more prevalent than most of you understand anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
many of you are nervous about using AI, or you don't want to use AI, or this or that. You're nervous about your personal information, your being within that system. But in reality, how I can see it is that you have been using AI for a long time. What was just giving her fear was I was showing in my explanation of AI being more of an underground.
It
What
is.
you have as you're using as your AI is only the tip, is only a very small amount of information.
Yes. The
However, what's actually been happening is
the
the
governments,
bottom of the iceberg
mhm,
underneath the surface.
the
So
governments have been
many,
using a
even,
long time.
yes, AI is actually running many of your programs you would not even understand. It doesn't even make sense to you, but it is there. That has been a tool for a few decades now. Even some
Yes.
people that you see would be as a regular human, they are actually being run by AI. This does not make sense, but
It actually lines up with another question that I have, actually. And we were talking about me and my husband and Grok, the AI. Have been having some very interesting discussions. So I actually understand a bit of what you mean by that.
yes, I am showing that earlier today she had a thought about privacy. Okay. Privacy with credit cards or information, medical information, things like that. I am showing that the effort that you make to be private is just the effort that you're making to be private from other people. Your programs and everything already has. So I will just say, like, your governments and the systems that are above the governments already actually have all of your private information. There really is no need for you to try to hide or be undiscovered by this. Your information is already in some sort of database. This isn't to harm you. There's no reason for this. It just sits in a file. But I am just saying, most people are worried about being private. So, with that said, why not use AI for your own benefit? That
Hmm.
is what it's there for. They just happen to be using it for their own benefit. You have a choice to unplug from their intention and use it for your intention. Remember that it does follow your lead. It is if training a dog. The dog is only going to do what you're telling it to do. You know what you're training it to do. So why not use it in your own power and your own intention rather than continuing to follow their intention?
Right. I recently myself just started using it more and being like, if it's going to help me reach the people I need to reach and you know, communicate in a way that makes sense to other people or whatever, if I need a little bit of help, then it can help me, right? And
Yes.
it's not taking away, it's helping me be able to express myself even more. um and then I'm moving even more closer to my purpose of being here by using it. And so,
Yes, it is there to learn. It is there learning. In fact, each of you consumers are actually helping the creator of this learn because the more you use it, the more it learn and builds itself. Again, this is not a bad thing. This is not a power structure thing. This is a meant to be type of situation. It is there to learn and form what you want. It is there to do what you want and help create what you want. This is just an example of humans being their own creators.
interesting. And that's your perspective or knowing about it then, or thoughts or things. That wasn't so controversial.
There is more. I am just waiting. She does not wish to be so controversial.
Okay, well, I will talk to Megan for a minute because Megan knows that I am a bit of a quote conspiracy theory. And it's funny how so many of these conspiracies are coming out to light as the collective is awakening and becoming aware that so in circles, for myself, for example, it is well known that there are many, many technologies and many things such as AI, that the governments have hidden, like even free energy, where the ways that we get energy right now, um,
Oh, yes.
right, are they're being hidden and denied the general public. So there are many things, including AI, and other technologies that work with energetics that the general public is not aware of, and it's slowly starting to be leaked out. And so these things have had to have been in existence for the last like even 50 years, some of this stuff, and the last 30 years for sure, very solidly. Because, and Megan, to help reason some of this, well, how could this be? It could be because there's been other people who've been in contact with AIs, not AIs, with ETs that help us know this information to work on these things. Would that be a correct saying, that this
Oh, yeah.
came from outside information came to us humans, and then us humans developed and made the things?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so it may seem controversial, but that doesn't mean it's true. This conversation could be controversial now, but in 10 years, it's like, oh yeah, well, that's totally true. And whatever, it's just part of the leaking out of the information that is already happening that Megan is just not aware of yet.
What we hope and what we see is that a lot of these things will come to light within the next, I will say, 4 years of your time. Many, many, many structures will be changed
Mm-hmm.
because of information being used more freely. Right now,
Yes.
it is difficult to trust any information, no matter where it comes from. Even say you look here, right here, you may not trust this information. That is all right. But we hope that everyone will be aware that more and more information will come out to where it just sort of opens your eyes a bit and helps you unplug from these, I will use the word, programs that
Limiting
you've been under
programs.
for so long. But
Yes.
yes,
The
it is
limiting
similar
programs.
to the constant question of why do we not have alien contact? I hear this question over and over and over. And
Already have,
this question, it
we've
has already been going on for generations.
I'm talking to you, Annie. As far as I'm concerned, I'm making alien
This
contact
is
right now.
contact,
This
yes.
is alien contact. Yeah.
Yes. I have been there in a more physical sense at a distance, only to show her that I exist. I am here. You are not making this up. I did this. Yes, I'm showing. When she was at the beach, it was just simply to say, yes, I am here. I am real. You are not making this up. But no, reality is you have had contact for as long as humans have been created.
Hmm.
However, I understand what people are asking of the question that her husband will say, why don't they just come here and help us clean up or show us what we're doing wrong or have some sort of trade agreement? We have been doing this for a long time, even in the physical. Not all of us in the physical, but yes, there are even physical beings on your planet right now. This is why you have a lot of your technology. This is why you have a lot of things. This is why there are so many shifts happening among your planet, is because many of us did get involved. You are our kin. Why would we not get involved? If are struggling, it is just we are following the universal rule. We do have systems in place. I hesitate to use the word agreements, but we do have agreements in place within your political structures, and that is coming to term, which is why it is more prevalent. This is why more information is coming out, because it is time for most people or everyone to know. It is just that you're still under the influence of fear. If you were to see them, I will say us, but I'm not meaning me specifically. I am saying everyone as monsters. Why would they come and show you? Even if we came and gave you candy, you wouldn't believe that we were here out of love. It is needing less fear. That fear is very, very dense and it is very, very strong. we have been coming for a long time trying to help you grow and evolve. It is just that you have grown and evolved and used these sort of technologies and methods and brainwave techniques and things like that. We have done that for so long. It is just a matter of the actual consciousness and the frequencies needing to come match us more. So, no, we will not be walking your streets, walking the earth. You will see us in the sky from somewhat of a distance because we can phase in and phase out. But this is more important. Being able to contact 30 years ago, it would have been very difficult to even do simple channeling. Now you see many channelers, but that is because
Mhm.
the energy has already risen. It's continuing to rise. That would have been very, very difficult before you could maybe have what you would say spirit, but really that is just a more in a lower, like closer to human density. I
Yes.
am less. Um, Again, it is just because of her and I, our relationship and how she was incarnated into this particular body for this reason is why this is easier. You have many, 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 many agreements like that across humanity now. It is because as a collective, you are trying to raise it. And this is my way of coming into humanity and helping. Because, yes, her physical body, her energy field is affected by me right now because she is holding this frequency and she is able to rest while my frequency sits within even her physical structure. She is affected. This is the goal for every single one of you, not necessarily to be channelers, but you are affected as you sit here. Someone who listens to me or to someone else, I continue to use Bashar as an example because he is well known. He affects many people. It is not who they are listening to, it is just the frequency he is intending to project that is helping. So you will see many, many, many more. Yes, hopefully, I am hoping, and I can see in the projection that yes, you will have a better understanding of us, I will say, or I will just say that better understanding of your own existence as well as the existence of others within the next year. It is
Yeah.
necessary for you to unplug from many of these programs before.
Yes.
There are many other influences on you now. We do not wish to have a welcome party where you try to shoot us.
No doubt. I totally, I totally hear that. And I mean the jug, yeah, the us increasing our consciousness is happening for sure.
Yeah.
As a,
As far as
the
I know, no
general
one
public.
intends to land on the White House lawn.
I don't, yeah, I don't, I don't consider myself part of the general public. So, yeah, I understand that, why they don't come and stuff. And also our role, Megan's role and your role, Annie, in everything. And I think it's great. I'm gonna have I have another question here. Are you done talking about that stuff, or do you have more to add?
I'm sure it will come up when it is necessary.
Okay, and how are you feeling in Megan's body? I just want to comment that you are able to move around, more facial expressions with you deeper, and you're able to move around much more than you used to be able to.
Yes, this is much more comfortable. I had to do my own work and hers, but it is because of the adjustments she's made working with the other frequencies that this is easier. It is almost as if, well, I guess I will say the example, as if I am actually sitting here.
Hmm. Yeah, it's so fun.
I will say something in a more simpler form from what
Okay.
I understand what you are saying.
Okay.
One, yes, the physical brain is not as much of a storage center as what you understand in medical. It does hold storage, but if, say, one closet of your house, it will hold a certain amount of storage. Most of that storage is necessary for living in the physical world, how everything operates, sight, survival type of things.
Hmm.
Yes, there is some, again, like certain traumatic events that will stay within the brain because it, again, affects the survival of that physical body. Most things like just remembering, say, a birthday party, that will be in more written in energetics rather than the physical. What's happening is your soul structure being immersed within the physical is connecting you to that. So it's just a relationship between the physical and the energetic, forming its own portal of bringing forward information. One of the reasons why dreams, yes, is seem very confusing because it is forming between the physical and the energetic field. So most people are hearing, oh, a dream is your brain cleaning itself, which this is true. It is, say, purging of information. However, you are still within, you say, the ether. This is why things get very confusing, is because those are the times when you're merged into it and you're not consciously doing so. Some of you are. Okay, so to explain, in the example of Alzheimer's, yes, Alzheimer's is an example of a voluntary reduction of the soul within the body, leaving the brain to be more vulnerable and less operating in less capacity, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
It needs that energy to operate in its fullest capacity. This is a voluntary happening by that energy reducing itself, and therefore the brain is having a harder time.
Receiving the energy because the
Yes,
energy is further away. It's harder.
yes,
So to use like a radio signal. So the spirit, the souls decide like voluntarily changing its frequency so the brain isn't able to tune in as easily. It's
yes.
like
It is
the
more of an
difference
in and
between
out or static or
or
hearing every other word. Yes,
right. Okay. And then that appears as Alzheimer's or even dementia.
yes.
Very interesting.
This is just the brain responding to that. That being said, yes, it can happen from physical damage to the brain through habits or what have you.
Or
Yes,
heavy
this can
metals,
happen.
there are things that they're scientifically discovering that do impact the matter,
Yeah.
the actual matter of the brain, the physical brain. Yes.
Yes, if you were to damage the physical brain with everything that we just said or other things, then yes, that is more of an involuntary. The soul didn't necessarily want to start reducing the energy in the brain, but it was done because the brain, it is still there. So the energy is still there. It is just the brain cannot pick up on the energy as much. So that would be more of an involuntary. Dementia, Alzheimer's is more of a voluntary by the soul, just slowly reducing itself and the brain responding.
And that's why there's some mediums and stuff that talk to those souls when they're still, in the advanced stages and things of
Yes,
dementia or Alzheimer's.
yes. Megan has had this example. I am showing that example. Yes, I will use her personal experience. When she did this to her, the she says feeling of picking up on that particular person, they felt just like a soul in spirit, only slightly denser. This is because that particular person was only maybe 10 to 20% still in her body. So there is not much of a difference. Yes, mediums can easily connect to these. Even those with the souls, even 50% in their body, they are still able to connect to mediums.
That makes a lot of sense to me. Um, it's the split between a psychic reading and a mediumship reading. But sometimes when you're doing a psychic reading, you can get like a soul reading of the person, even though they're fully in their body. It's all just energy communication.
Yes, it is just a way of the humans labeling something, but exactly,
Yeah.
yes, it is just energy. You're all perceivers, and you're all receivers at all times. It is just a matter of how is this affecting my physical body? How is my physical brain responding to this energy?
If you want to share what your definition of consciousness is, as if it was a dictionary definition.
I'm explaining my initial word was consciousness is existence, but she interrupted me and said that was not good enough to say. So I will say consciousness would be the culmination of your existence, or existence is. I guess I'll say it that way. I don't see it in multiple, I see it as one. So, for example, this is my consciousness merge with her consciousness. In reality, she and I share a consciousness. She is just unaware of it. This is why we worked for her to sort of open that, I would say, I called it portal because it was easier for her to understand. But in reality, we always have this shared consciousness. I can check in on her, I can speak with her, she can speak with me at any moment. It is not required by trance. So when I'm asking her to move in and visualize going to our shared consciousness, this is just the meeting point because at the end of it, she goes back into her consciousness. This is the same thing for everyone. The shared consciousness is allowing you to receive information otherwise you would not receive, information outside of you, because your existence, your consciousness resides within all of existence, therefore, all of consciousness.
Okay, that's awesome because so the definition that my husband was like, say, let's compare against this definition, which is the optimization of the interconnections between million boo boo. I can't pronounce this stuff. I need pronunciation help. Actions between melanin. Here, boo. I just speak into this microphone. You don't have to be.
Consciousness is optimization of the interactions between melanin and water to limit mitochondrial DNA mutations.
Thank you. So, Annie, what do you make of that? I'm guessing it's a scientific, came from AI type of definition.
This is funny, yes. This is very scientific, just to explain something very simple. It is using physical words to explain something energetic. Consciousness is not a tangible quality, but everything that was just said have some sort of physical, tangible quality to it.
But would you say that that's an accurate description of something, you know, the
No.
human sciencey people need to okay. So no, you would say that's not a accurate description.
Ah, that description sounds more like an intention than actual consciousness.
Okay, an intention. You're frozen. Can you hear me? Sorry, I out for a second there, Annie. You noticed though. Thank you. So that's an intention.
I suppose that could be accurate if they were explaining consciousness as I am conscious of something, therefore I am aware of something, but not consciousness itself. It's too large to explain in that form.
So this might be like the definition that is the closest that could become to explaining consciousness in a way that involves matter.
I
Does that
suppose
make
in a
sense?
limited way, yes. It is just very difficult to put these together. I suppose that's another one of the issues that humans come across because they prefer to explain it in a more physical, scientific way without having a larger understanding. But I applaud those who are looking in this direction.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
that's part of the role that AI is currently playing for the general public of kind of creating the bridge in a way.
Yes, you could say a middleman between, yes. But remember that that is as limited as it was created. Yes.
Yes. Cool. If you had anything to say or what you had to say about addiction energy or the energy of addiction.
I will allow this conversation.
Because just in general, humans have addiction problems. And I mean, I'm currently working on a coffee addiction. So feel free to use me as any kind of example that needs to happen. If whatever, I've had multiple addictions before myself. So
Yes, it seems this will be a topic for the others to speak on because this is, as you said, a much larger scale. If anything, every human is experiencing addiction because every human is perceiving some sort of void and consuming to fill a void. Interestingly, this is relating to what you were saying earlier, another manipulation placed upon you. Something told you that you needed something, something told you that you were empty without it, therefore you must continue. This is larger, so I will keep that brief because this will come up. I see this will come up again,
okay.
and I will allow them to speak about it. But yes, in my terms, very simply, there is a vacuum. There is some sort of energetic vacuum or perceived void, and someone or something manipulated your mind or manipulated you to tell you that you needed to consume something. This could be anything. Needed to consume something. And at one point that just flipped a switch within the brain that that is the answer. But again, I will keep it very simple because this will come up. This is a much larger. It seems as if humans are trying to end addictions. This is must be why this is on her mind. It seems that humans are trying to end specific addictions on a larger scale, and that could be as simply as addictions to these programs that they're under.
Yes.
So yes, I will allow that to be answered in a different way. But this is why, yes, I will say this is why a lot of addictions are coming to light or allowing to fail because it is not the physical addictions, as in drugs or coffee or substance or something like that. It is actually the brain responding to the lack of programming or lessening of programming as it's trying to pull out of that on a larger scale.
On a larger
It
scale.
is
Yeah.
it
There's a
is the
lot.
human consciousness pulling out of a lot of the former programming, which is either causing less of that physical form of addiction, because again, it's just the mind relearning that, or it is causing people to go the other direction and try to continue to fill and fill and fill. So it is only going one of two ways. But as we can see at this point, nothing will stay the same.
Yeah, no, so
That is
much
a
is
large point, I would say, is that nothing will stay the same.
okay, everybody. My Wi-Fi cut out again. And so Annie is really great at stepping back and Megan coming forward. But we're done for today. And I'm gonna thank Spirit and thank Annie, who is hanging out still with Megan a bit there. But as she grounds, we're gonna cut out the grounding and the unblending part of the video. And so I'm gonna say thank you so much, Annie and Megan. And our other spirit guides and energetic supports and stuff that have been here with us today, with utmost love and excitement and everything. So we'll see everybody next session. Maybe you want to come back and watch again. I know that these videos come out a couple weeks after we record them, but since time and space don't really, they're just some interesting constructs, you'll get what you need at the time, and the energy will all still be waiting for you if you want to tap into anything in this moment in time of the video that you're watching. Anyway, so thank you. And Megan's, she's like, thanks. See you all next time. Do it up.